I could be standing at a tube station, waiting for a tube. Somebody might come up to me and ask me the simplest of questions, and I'll just go to pieces and in my speech, that is, and I can see the sheer look of horror on their face. It's as if they've let me get so close, and it's yeah, this person can't talk properly.
At the moment, I still get anxious when I see a group of 10-year-olds, because I think sort of that takes me back to when I was 10 and they'd tease me, so I keep expecting these kids to come up to me and tease me, although they don't anymore, thank God.
It was always having to hide the stammer, or having to feel that you had to hide the stammer. When you're talking to people, you avoid words, and in life you avoid certain situations because the nerves of having the stammer and the fear of stammering in those situations, because I feel like an idiot when I stammer.
Well, the treatment for people like me who stammer is abysmal, and I don't think that situation has changed much in the last 39 years. And that's one of the reasons I want to make this film, to try and see if we can improve things. I remember on one course I went on, a chap thought he was cured, and the reason he went on that course was simply to talk at his daughter's wedding. In my case, I just wanted my daughters to remember me or know me as someone who was fluent.
Schoolgirls, are you ready? All right, cardi's on.
Come on, mate, let's help you with that.
Quickly. I see. All right, give Daddy a kiss, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, monster. Bye-bye, mate. Every time I see my daughters, it reminds me of the problems that I had as a kid. I'm just grateful that they're fluent. I mean, seeing them at school, seeing them reading books and seeing them as fluent is great for me. When I was at school, when we had to read something to the class, I would all of a sudden become the invisible man.
Under the magician's
They would point at the children that they wanted to read and come to you, and they'd skip past you. And that just adds to your feeling of isolation. I remember playing outside outside my parents' house on the green, and whilst I was playing with this boy, his mother came up to me and dragged him away from me, saying that, "Oh, don't play with him, he's funny." I remember this distinct image of her dress, her flying dress, as she pulled him away from me. It was the first time that I become conscious that there was something different about me.
Got no bags and baggage to slow me down.
One of the worst nightmares as a kid was going on the bus. I can remember sitting on the bus and the bus conductor would get gradually closer and closer to you, and you'd know it was your turn, and it'd get more and more tensed up, and you just stammer like mad and be aware of all these eyes on you. When I was a teenager, one of the biggest problems was socialising with, say, girls. Some girls could be quite cruel. They'd actually take the mickey out of the voice, and that can be extremely humiliating. There are times now when I go into a pub or a restaurant, and if I know I'm being overheard, it will make my stutter worse. You get funny looks, and people naturally assume because you've got a stutter that there's something wrong with you, that you're stupid. And I don't want to see kids going through that, you know, in the same way that I've gone through it.
The stammerer's lot is a hard lot. And I think what's needed is more awareness from parents themselves that children can be helped in a very profitable way. More awareness from the public that stammerers require some sort of sympathetic attitude, that it's not a funny disorder, it's a devastating disorder. It's awful to want to be able to go out and say something and you just can't get the words out.
Lena Rustin runs the only specialist centre for child stammerers in the country. They are funded by the charity ASK and the NHS.
5% of children actually either stammer or become very disfluent in their talking. And 1% of the adult population stammer. So that means that we've got the remainder who will have grown out of it by the time they reach adulthood. And the figures show that 4 out of 5 of the children who are stammering when they're preschool years will have grown out of it by the time they reach adolescence. But our problem is that we don't know, if we're given 5 children who are stammering, we don't know which of them is going to be the one that's going to grow out of it and which one's going to be one that doesn't grow out of it. So our policy here is to take all of them on. This family here came to me when he was 3, and they'd spent a long time trying to find therapy, which was a bit of a disaster really. He'd had the most enormous problems with his speech, really couldn't get his ideas across, and yet he's a very articulate young man. It was very frustrating for him.
The one who did the most good talking had a prize, but we all had a prize.
Well, we all did very well, didn't we?
Yes, but I got the most.
You got the most good talking?
Yes, so I had 2 sweeties. Mum had 1 sweeties. Mum had 1 sweetie and Mum had 1 sweetie.
And you had 2?
With the young child, we tend not to go in directly with the child and work with them on their speech, because very often, even though the stammer may be quite bad, they're very often not aware of it, and we don't want to heighten their awareness of it and make them become very self-conscious about the way they talk.
He would do anything.
Parents were very motivated to help him, and so I had both mother and father come along with him.
Nothing major.
I'd anticipated the problem where, you know, children put their hands up in class, and a child with a stammer, when he's actually pointed, it's very difficult to get the words out that quickly. I can remember feeling that, and that's the problem I anticipated more for him.
And that's something else that Elaine's taught us, is to not put pressure on the child, you know, not demand answers to questions all the time. So you go about it in a roundabout way so that we reduce pressure. It's one of the things we were very keen to get down to see Elaine, was because she does the younger children. We wanted to get Matthew sorted out before he went to school, so that he wasn't having problems in school.
He first started March 90, and it deteriorated very rapidly. And having had the problem myself, I went to see the health visitor first of all, and she eventually referred me to the local speech therapist who comes to the village. But then the lady at Cambridge left, and there was no speech therapist with any experience of stammering there at all.
You can't afford to wait any time, so from the time that the parent notices it and becomes concerned about it, there should be the minimal time really before they actually get some advice on what to do about it.
I actually promoted the use of parents in therapy, so that instead of just taking a child into a room and doing something with it, that parents are an integral part of the therapy process, that we won't see a child unless the parents wish to cooperate and to work with us, because the child functions in its family. It doesn't function on its own, it doesn't function in a room on its own. And the family are the ones that need to help it get better so that they feel they have ownership of it. It's not some magic that we do, it's magic that they do. There's a lot of magic, and they make their own magic.